My teens ruined my 20s, and it's not because of some big mistake that I made. No, it's not because of some big mistake that I made. It's because of mistakes that I made leading up to the point where I turned 20. And I thought that these things didn't matter. I thought they didn't matter at all. But it turns out they did. I think back then a misconception that I had was that I could just get rid of bad habits. You could just eradicate them entirely, but things don't work out that way. You can't just flip a switch and then automatically you're this great person who does everything they say they're going to do. For whatever reason, I thought that when I turned 20, everything was going to change for me, but it turns out the same bad habits that I had in my teenage years that I've accumulated over the years crossed over to my 20s. So those times where I told myself that I'd just go to sleep after this episode, after this game, you guys know the examples that I'm giving. You're up all night with your friends, you may be playing a game and one guy says one more game, or you're having a late night conversation and you just don't want to go to sleep. In all of those moments, I thought the things that I was doing were harmless. At 16, 17, 18, maybe even 19, it feels like a free trial of life where you get to do whatever you like. Responsibility feels so damn optional. And of course, I adopted this mentality. I didn't consider the repercussions of staying up late with my friends. I didn't consider the repercussions of eating late. I didn't consider the repercussions of watching things that I shouldn't have been watching. I didn't consider any of the consequences. All I considered was the moments, like any young person does. And when I was around 15 or 16, this came back to bite me. And when I was around 15 or 16, I had dreams of becoming a professional athlete. So this came back to bite me, right? I told myself that I'd be a professional soccer player, a professional football player. I told myself that this will be my future. So I trained consistently. I put myself in positions where I would be seen. Maybe I didn't train as hard as I could have, but I did train. However, because of all the habits that I spent years accumulating, it held me back. Those dreams, they seemed further and further away because I was indulging in all of these bad habits. Just the other day, I put a post out on YouTube asking people, what do you think affects you more, your habits or your mindset? And my opinion on the matter was, or my opinion on the subject was, that your habits can shape your mindset. So what you do in your day-to-day life will determine your identity, who you are as a person. Do you show up for yourself or do you not? I always say that awareness without action means absolutely nothing. So if you know that you're somebody who doesn't show up for yourself, and you have enough arrogance to think that maybe, just maybe, when you reach a certain age, like let's say for example 25 years old, when your frontal lobe develops or whatever people say, when that happens, when you reach 25, that life is just going to look at you and maybe just say, you know what, I'm going to make things work out for you just because you've hit 25 years old. That kind of thinking is so, it goes beyond naivety. It's just, in my opinion, it's stupidity. To think at 25 or 26, whether you're younger, whether you're older, at a certain age, that you're going to have this shift in mentality. Age doesn't always bring about wisdom, and it's so apparent when you speak to people, because I've met people who are 30 years old who act like 16 years old. I've met people who are 40 years old who act like 18-year-olds. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. People think that with a certain age, they're going to change their ways, that things are going to look so much better for them. But you have the same mindset, the same excuses, the same habits. You're just older. And as I aged throughout my teenage years, I always had that mindset. I could see my flaws. All these bad habits, they were staring me in the face. I was looking at them. They were staring me in the face. And I just chose to brush them aside because I was so comfortable with them. Whether it was gaming online with friends, whether it was talking to friends late at night consistently, 5 days in a row maybe, eating at night, watching things that I shouldn't be watching. I didn't want to admit it, but I knew the truth. I was comfortable with all the things that may have been holding me back. And of course, I'm not saying never speak to your friends. I'm not saying never stay up late and game with your friends. You can do that. Once in a while, I think is absolutely fine because These things, they start off as harmless habits, but of course, when you're like me, when you make it a consistent thing, it starts to affect your day-to-day life. Now you're more tired. Now you're waking up late. And me personally, if I wake up late, it kind of ruins my day. It doesn't really get me going. But of course, for the more impulsive habits, like watching adult content and eating late, these bleed into other aspects of your life. So abstain from doing these things entirely. Of course, you can pick your poison. You guys are smart enough to know which will affect you long term and which one won't. But this is just some advice from somebody who is seeing some of their bad habits trickle into their 20s, and I'm trying to go about removing them or even replacing them. This is a channel that serves me as a digital journal to myself, of course, and maybe to a younger version of myself. If I could give this advice to my younger version, of course, I'd say live life, but take time seriously. Take time seriously. All the bad habits that you spent accumulating over the years, work on them now. Once again, awareness without action is absolutely pointless. If you know that what you're doing is holding you back in any way, please work on it now. Take yourself seriously, because further on down the line, it's going to come back to bite you in ways that you can't imagine. The same way I talk about the Kaizen philosophy, improving 1% each and every single day, how it compounds. Laziness can compound in the exact same way. You have one off day, then you have a second off day, then you continuously have off days. It sounds like a Captain Obvious statement. All of you know this to be true, and yet you still ignore what's right in front of you. This is how people wake up at 25 years old, at 30 years old, and feel like they're maybe left behind, that they're behind in life. Not because they're failures, but because they just treated their life as if it was some kind of joke. They treated it as if it was a free trial. And I know to a lot of you, it will seem like I've just regurgitated the same point for maybe the last 5 minutes. But I need you guys to get the message here. Every year that you spend not taking your life seriously is a year spent not working on your foundation. You think that you'll just outgrow habits, and I used to follow the same mentality. I used to hold the same mentality. Until these habits, they came along, they showed up, and I thought they were going to be the same habits, but no, they showed up in different suits. It turns out, yes, they were the same habits. Upon closer inspection, they were the exact same habits. They just looked slightly different, but they were the same thing. You guys think that you'll just outgrow them. You guys think that you can just outrun them. The only way to actually deal with these bad habits is to face them, is to turn around and face them. Awareness without action is just guilt waiting to happen. And guilt doesn't build your life. Action does. It always will. So I think I'm going to conclude the video here, guys. I feel like I've said everything I needed to say. And this is still a struggle that I'm trying to navigate my way through, of course. Some of the bad habits that I accumulated in my teenage years still haunt me today, and I'm figuring it out day by day using the Kaizen philosophy, 1% each and every day. But if you guys did enjoy this video, of course, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, share it to a friend or family member who you think may need to see and hear this video. If you guys want to join a community full of like-minded people, I'll leave a link down below in the description, as well as the comment section. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care and God bless.